Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to bring you the iPhone 12 Pro. It's an iPhone 12 mini. It's an interesting phone that I bought because I really love a small phone. I mentioned about the essential phone a lot in my reviews, and I really like a small phone that holds in my arms. That's why I also bought the Xperia 1 II also. So yeah, we're going to take a look on the small phone, the mini phone that Apple has released. And recently a lot of bad news has circulated about the 12 mini because the demand is really lower than the expectation. Apple need to cut the production of the 12 mini, and there are a lot of discount being thrown on it too. So we're going to look, what makes the phone so special and see how it holds up against a big phone, or shall we say a normal phone in 2021. Why a small phone? Because it's just simply small. Back in the days, phones that fits into your hand, you can use them single-handedly easily. And this phone, the mini, even with a really thick and bulky case like the Apple's leather case, it's still, you can see it's still narrower than the 12 Pro. You can still see a seam here, and it's still shorter than the 12 Pro, and which is the same size with the 12. And yeah, it's really good feeling in your hands. You can use it single-handedly. You don't really need to worry about not gripping it correctly. It might fall out from your pocket because it's too small. And the ability to use it single-handedly. We all miss the sensation tech reviewers like Gus or everyone else, MKBHD, Mr. Mobile, we all cherish a smaller phone. We tweet a lot about the urge for a smaller phone because it's just easy to use. You don't really need to explain this, alright? It's just small and tiny, and the look, it's like it looks like an iPhone. It even has a literally bigger bezels than a 12 Pro. You can see because of how small the phone is. They all have the same size bezel. It looks bigger on the mini because of how small the phone is. But I bring it out, people will be like, oh gosh, it's such a small and mini phone. You got a new phone. This is another phone since the foldables or the Sony remote control phones. This catches a lot of attention. People know you got a new iPhone 12 and it's a mini because it's just so small compared to all the big phones everyone have. And the 12 Pro isn't even the biggest phone around. So yeah, that's the look and size. It's just so good. The main highlight of the 12 mini. Alright, second reason why the mini is so good. Despite the size difference, or even with a Pro Max, this has literally the same function as this. It has the really freaking fast latest Apple silicon in it, the CPU, which I think once you use it, that for the coming 5 years, you wouldn't need to worry about the performance of the CPU. You don't really need to worry that it will become slow and everything. This will last. And right now, even with the low power mode on all the time, yeah, it's still faster than all the other Android phones out there. It's still too fast. And I'll explain more about the low power mode later, And yeah, and all the functions too, it has 2 cameras compared to the 3 on the Pro models. But, for me, I'm really happy. I save money. I don't really use the zooms. I even barely use the ultra-wide camera. And the quality of this is really great. It's one of the best camera out there. You can just, it focuses like a laser. You just point at something and you just shoot. You don't need to worry you may shoot something because it focuses so fast and the app launches so fast. You really don't need to worry about losing a moment. Like in daily use, it's perfect. The camera is perfect. The system is perfect. iOS has been perfect for years. It got better now. It got widgets. It sounds stupid. Android has it for years, but the widgets on this is really good. It's a really great feature. You look at it here, and you know what? It feels like an Android phone now. It doesn't I switched from an Android phone to here as my main phone, in order to test it properly, and the switch is practically painless. other than a few mobile games which they tie your account to your platforms. It feels like an Android phone now, and everything just feels fast, fluid, great. It's just like a iPhone, like a bigger iPhone, but smaller, easy to use, and it's way better than all the small Android flagships out there which sacrifice performance, have a super screen, super camera because they need to sell it at a cheaper price. No, this is simply a small mini flagship, and for that I cherish it. It's really good. You get the full performance here. Compared to like last year's mini flagship, the iPhone SE, it's a massive improvement because we got a bezel-less screen. We got gestures where it makes using the iOS more intuitive and better, and a functioning camera. On last year's SE, I realized the camera isn't working really well. It was like 7 or 8 camera. It misfocused a lot, but the camera on this is as good as the Pro one. And what else? Yeah, and Face ID too, compared to SE. It's a modern mini phone, which is really great news. What could ask more, isn't it? If you use iOS, this is the mini phone to get. All right, forget the SE too. Compared to the older Android phones that you'll be coming to, because you like a small phone, you stick with them, you will appreciate the crazy upgrade that you get. The chip, if you're coming from like a Snapdragon 835 or 845, the chip is practically 5 years ahead of your fossil phone, sorry. And all the greatest upgrade, bezel-less screen, Face ID, a crazily good camera, and also Apple's ecosystem. So we have AirPods. You can, if you like using earphones, you will enjoy AirPods Pro, AirPods, the AirPods Max too, and also like they really not usable. It's pretty bad Apple Watch. Also, like if you have an iPhone, it works seamlessly with your M1 Max, which is the next stage of computing, as far as we know. So yeah, crazy upgrade if you're coming from the Android phone, older Android phone. Alright, we talked about a lot of amazing things about the 12 mini. I have 2 major complaints about the mini, which makes it a deal breaker for most of the people around. So first thing, the battery life. We all expect to get bad battery life on this. It's actually manageable with Apple's latest and greatest chipset, and the battery isn't that bad. And iOS as a whole has really great battery management. So on average, without the low power mode, I get 3 to 5 hours, alright, if I use it very little. So if I put on the low power mode, I get 5 to 6 hours, which is pretty good. It's only like 1 hour less than a 12 or 12 Pro actually. But that 1 hour, it's like the difference between you made it to the night or you just lose power around dinner time. So this is a 2 charges per day phone. You can't really get to the day with just 1 charges, and if you use it a lot, it becomes crazier basically, because if you play a lot of games, a lot of mobile games, or you use navigation a lot, or if you are recently really crazy about an app called Clubhouse, you turn it on all the time, I'm getting like half a day of battery life. I get 3 hours of battery life, and the thing literally dies at the midday. And another game is like Genshin Impact. It takes up a lot of juice, a lot of performance. So basically on this, you are doing like 1 minute of playtime with 1%. You are getting less than 2% of playtime with this thing on Wi-Fi without 5G. So that's how bad the battery life is. And yeah, you need to charge it a lot, at least twice per day if you use it a lot. I found it during the pandemic when we are staying at home. It's alright, we can charge it, but if you go back to pre-pandemic, and if you're used to a big battery phone, you realize it's take out your power bank again. You would need it because you need to charge it quite frequently. I think the one blessing of the phone is due to how small the battery is, and Apple's fast charging is actually very consistent and decent. So you get like half of the battery in just 30 minutes of charging. So yeah, pretty good to, you know, extend your battery life. But you need to know, like, you need to have a Type-C output power bank to do the trick, or the charger, all right, which now it doesn't come with a Type-C charger anymore. And yeah, that's the rant about the battery life you need to expect with this phone, which I do, so it's not that big of a concern. The second thing will be about the small screen. So yeah, I mean, like, everyone was like, you know, what's wrong with a small screen? But if you're used to a big screen, you realize you are seeing the same amount of content compared to like an iPhone 12 or iPhone 11, but it's just so small. You need to get used to it. It took me a whole week to get used to seeing everything so small. And yeah, eventually it got all right, like Facebook, everything else, you know, they're actually not different than like a normal iPhone or 12 Pro and or other Android phones. But yeah, it's really small and it's really bad for gaming and video watching particularly. I realized I don't want to do those things on this phone, on top of the bad battery life, which pushes me to like use other devices more. It's like, I don't want to watch video on this. I barely watch YouTube on this anymore. I barely watch Netflix on this. I don't want to game on this. I end up using other phones to game. So yeah, it kind of diminished the reason to own a small flagship phone. Why don't we just buy a smaller, older phones, but it's just smaller, you know? And those are cheaper, all right, when you just need a phone that is small, but no need to do all the other extra stuff. So yeah, like, the small screen really makes a difference when using the phone itself. And I realized typing with two hands on this is really hard. I have a lot of typo, and it took me a month. I still couldn't get used to it. Like, I realized typing two hands on this is pretty painful. So yeah, the small screen, you know, it distracts me from using the phone itself. In conclusion, the 12 mini, on a whole, it's a deficit. It's a negative experience owning it compared to like buying like a 12, because I think you simply get less from the phone compared to buying a normal 12 or other, like, you know, phones with a bigger screen. You can get more things done on this thing as a smaller battery life, and the smaller screen just, you know, pushes you to not use the thing. For me, it's true. I just realized watching video on this is so small. I just don't like it. So yeah, I think, you know, it really doesn't worth the price tag. But due to, I think I've seen a lot of discount being thrown on this phone in order to push the sales. So yeah, I think at a price point of the SE2, or about 600 or 700 USD, it's good. It's a good phone to own. You know, it will make up for the deficit of experience of using this compared to using a, you know, iPhone 12 with a bigger screen, a proper phone, a normal phone. And it'll do really well as a, you know, secondary phone too. It's a really good toy. I don't deny it. But according to other reviewers, like, they talk a lot of good things about this phone. They tweet a lot. You know, you can check their social media. They talk about good things. They're saying this as the second coming of Jesus. But in reality, they are using bigger phones. They're using Pro Max. They're using Notes. They are using S20 Ultras, S21 Ultras. They're not using this actually. They just saying good things about it. And after the review, they put it into their, you know, their bin or their drawers, because it's a good toy. But the 12 mini, sadly, isn't really a good phone. Unless you really want unless you really want a mini phone, which, you know, you have no choice. This is the best one you can get instead of a SE2. All right, thank you for watching my review. I'll see you all next time. Subscribe if you like my content. Goodbye.